Hey guys, it's Smart.
Stupid stuff. Welcome.
Welcome back. Tonight we're going to be talking about the concept of money, what it means to us, and some of our experiences, our first experiences with money, and just kind of take it from there. Free talk. Enjoy the show.
Shout out to those who are listening. Thank you for your continued support. I'm going to keep on saying names until people get tired of us. So Corey Harpin, number one listener. Yeah. I know that Evan was listening. I know Alicia was listening. Well, you guys said you listened to one, so I'm assuming you listened to all of them. If you're listening to the show, let us know. Check us out on Twitter and follow us on Twitch so you can watch the podcast live. We're doing this live now, so you can come and see us, make comments, tell us jokes, whatever it is that you want to do. I hope you enjoy it. Awesome. Oh, yeah. What's up, guys?
We're back.
What's up?
Welcome back.
Flavor Town.
Welcome to Flavor Town.
Hey, guys, I have a question. How were you when you moved out of your parents' house? Like, because we're going to be talking about, like, we said we're going to talk about money, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So, I think the first time you move out of your parents' house, you're like, Dad, I don't care, I'm just moving out. Everybody, when they turn 18, they were like, I turn 18, I'm going to move out of my parents' house.
I'm out.
But then you realize that you're going to need money.
It wasn't as bad as
right?
you thought it was at home, was it?
Right. So,
and now we got to pay bills, man.
I'll tell you what, when I was 15 years old, I literally got a napkin in the kitchen, and I told my mom that I wasn't really planning on moving out, but I said, how much would it really cost me to move out? And I get a piece of paper on I get a napkin and pen, and I start writing down the number. I say, how much is your light bill? How much is the gas? How much is the phone bill? What other bills you pay? And she started giving me all these bills, and then the rent. I was like, how much you think rent is, around here if I wanted to rent an apartment? Boom, boom. And I said, all right, what if I get a job? This was 18 years ago. I said, if I get a job, it pays $5 an hour, just to get an idea, minimum wage. And there is no way you could make it with the bills that we had. And it was such a surprise to see it on paper. And the numbers are very objective. They're not emotional. It is what it is. And I said, that was a reality check for me.
And you were how old? 15?
15. I was working at
Denny's.
You worked at Denny's?
When you're 15?
My first job, yeah.
I know you
my
could work
first job. I worked with these guys on my first job. It was San Carlos. I was a dishwasher there. And I got Martin there.
That's where we met.
And then I met,
That's where we met.
And that's when you guys started making money. I was 15 years old, and I would serve, and I was a server, and I'd be a waiter, and then I would work on the weekends, work some nights during the week, and then summer times I would do the graveyard shift. So I work like 10 p.m. till about 5 a.m. roughly, and Friday, Saturday nights were always good. I remember that people would come in, and it's a different crowd after
you were
midnight.
How old?
15.
So at 15, did you really know the value of money? Like, your mom did that.
Sure,
she
yeah.
wrote on a napkin. Is that when you woke up to how important money is?
Well, what I would do is, I remember the first time I got a $5 tip, and that was, I don't know if you guys remember getting the biggest tip you've gotten in the past, or just, you get a couple dollars, but I got a $5 bill, and I said, wow, like I felt proud of myself. I felt like I gave a good service. I was 15 and working at Denny's, right? But I was like, all right, wow, this is huge, and there's an opportunity to make more money than just a couple dollars. When I started first seeing the value of money, in a way was so quick story. We're living in Maryland, and it snows every winter. So my brother and some of his friends were going to get together, and they were going to go shovel snow. So we'd go shovel driveways or sidewalks, and would charge $10, $15, $20, depending how much snow it was and how big the driveway was or the sidewalk. And I really wanted to go with him. He's my big brother, and I'm getting ready. I'm like, all right, wait for me. I'm going to get ready. I come outside. He's gone. This guy left me. What a bastard. So he leaves his little brother, and he goes with his friends, the bigger guy, his friends, to go.
Older guys.
Yeah, older guys, shovel snow. I want to hang out with them. So I'm like, damn. So let me just go next door and see if this lady wants me to shovel her sidewalk. And I couldn't do a whole driveway, so I'd do the sidewalk. So I'll go knock on the door, I don't know. I was probably 12 years old, maybe, and knock on the door and ask her if she wants me to shovel her driveway. And I mean, a lot of the people, she said, yeah, of course, yeah, for sure. And I guess she saw a 12-year-old kid wanting to shovel her sidewalk, and she said, sure, I'll give him. And how much? $5, $10. All right, boom. Dude, I ended up going and doing like the sidewalks and turning those. I mean, just going boom, boom, and I was getting pretty good feedback and a lot of yeses, more yeses than no's. It seemed like I went home, and I remember I think I had maybe $32, I guess, after a couple hours. Dude, my brother came home. I made more than him because he had to split it with the other guys, his friends. So it was crazy. So I ended up getting some other friends that were my age to go shovel with us. And after we go shovel snow, at the end of the day, after a long, hard day at work, we'd go to Jerry's. It was like a pizzeria right there. We'd go everybody get whatever steak and cheese, your subs, your soda, your pizza. Because we weren't working at the time. That was the only money we had. And it was like, wow, what a great experience to be able to go make some money, go have pizza and some soda, and just kind of hang out with your friends at 12, 13 years old.
Sometimes, like, why did he change, Like, it used to be so much fun, and then he got serious,
Well, I tell you what, I asked my buddies I used to go shovel snow. I said, hey, I'll call them up sometimes. Some of them live in Maryland. Hey, what's up, man? It's snowing. Are you ready? Let's go shovel snow tomorrow. And they're crack up, and they all remember that time. And they say, these kids nowadays, they're not going to shovel snow. These kids now, my nieces, my nephews, they're saying, I can't get them to go out the house, and I definitely can't get them to go shovel snow.
But that's the thing is that, you doing that, it helped you out in the long run. I mean, you learned that you had to work to have what you want. You learned that you had to work to get pleasure later on by buying something that at that time made you happy or
pleasure.
That's gonna be the second podcast.
I knew that was coming. But
that is possible.
For me, it was similar. My dad bought a restaurant. It was a steakhouse. I was 12 years old. I worked the coat room, so there was a little closet, a little room when customers walked
coat
in.
Check.
It was a coat check, and I had a little tip jar.
Yep.
And I was making $25, $30, $35 a night. I mean, for a 12-year-old back in the 90s, $35 a night was legit. I was rolling, and I saw how much money I was making, and that's when I really started to feel like, wow, I could make, I could make serious money. I could save it, and I started putting it underneath my mattress and it's funny, my parents and my brother had this joke forever that, this guy's cheap, he hides his money underneath his mattress, he doesn't want to spend on anything. And then I was a busboy, and then I got to middle school. I was probably the only middle schooler walking around with $100, $200 in his pocket.
Right.
Brand new Nikes, brand new Jordans, brand new. And from then on, I've funded my whole life. I've never asked my parents for a dime.
Since you're 15?
That's awesome.
Since I was
Same
13.
Here.
Since I was 13. Now, obviously, with college and things like that,
right.
It was different. But for the most part, I've bought every one of my cars. I've funded my entire lifestyle.
I haven't had.
I can never imagine going back from that.
Well, this is one of the things I learned. Like, probably the kids, they don't know now, like, how hard it is to get the money. Okay, you were able, like you said, you bought your Jordans, you brought good clothes. But on my side, it was a little bit different. Because I used to ask my mom to get me, I don't know, every time she bought me clothes, she used to go to Kmart and buy me like those NASCAR t-shirts. I don't know if you guys remember NASCAR. It was like the 25, and like whoever won, and it got all the names for all the drivers. So I was like, I want an Abercrombie shirt, like I want something. It was like, this is a $50 shirt, I was like, I can afford that, So it's like, okay, when I work, I'm going to buy it, And then when I actually work, I was working as a dishwasher. I was like, shit, I'm just making $120. I worked 3 days. I'm not going to go buy a shirt,
$50 shirt.
So I started valuing money a little bit more when that happened. So these kids now, they don't value the effort the parents sometimes they made in order to buy them things. And right now they're like, I want an iPhone, or I want this. And they were like, okay, that's not something easy to get, So I think like I learned how to value money by me working on an early age.
Absolutely, I agree. For me, the same thing, and it's crazy. And we're gonna get to Martina in a second, but kind of like Hassan said, he would hide it underneath his mattress. I don't know where you would hide your money, my thing, but I did try hiding at one spot one time where I thought it was really good. So on the floor, you have the vent. So I'll lift up the vent and I would put the money there, right? So I put the vent, then I would close it. Nobody knew where my money was. Then I would open, and I went back the next day. I opened the vent. The money's gone, but the change was there. Why? Because the air was going through that vent and blowing all that money, circulating money throughout the house. So what I would do after that, that ain't gonna work. Yeah, I never got that back.
Good idea.
So what I do is
tear the whole house down.
Oh, shit.
So I wanted to buy a car. So when I first started working, like my first car was I think a '91 Mercedes Benz.
I remember.
Wow. Yeah, the gold one. And every time I used to get money, I was like, "Mom, save my check, save my check." And I was like, and who was Franco asked me, he's like, "Have you been changing your checks?" And I'm like, "No, I've been saving on my check." And I went all together like 6 months.
Cashed them one time.
Cashed them all one time.
Killed this cash flow right there.
Here's what I say about what I've been listening to. You guys all have very similar stories, and it all comes from your family. Mm-hmm. You realize how much of everything you're saying right now comes from your family, and the reason I say that is for me is a little bit different. My family really didn't teach me much about money. There was more of an emphasis in Colombia, especially at least with my experience. There's more of an emphasis in looking like you have money, but there's very little on like the appreciation of money or what money should be saved. So all the stories you're sharing is like, okay, my dad, I bet you to a certain level your mom or your dad were the ones who told you to do that, right? My story was a little bit different. I came here when I was 16 from that Colombian life, which is a little bit different. Like, people value, like, there's a lot of family name involved in a small town or whatever. Then I come here and I have a completely different perspective. Like, now, like, I'll go to work at Food Lion. I'm working on San Carlo. But I still didn't really, nobody ever taught me that. I would spend every single penny I had I would spend it. Whether it was, like, my car or getting gas or going out or buying that shirt. I didn't have that appreciation.
Did your mom ever or your dad ever tell you, Martin, save some money?
They would, but it was just like very much like, it wasn't necessarily what they would say, but the way that you live your life, right? My mom buys stuff, and I like, she's always looking to go to the mall or whatever else. So like, there's a lot of value behind that. I don't know.
Yeah, once I bought the first car, so I was able to save money for my first car, but then, you have a car, then it's hard to save money, especially if you're young. You're just you really want to be up there on your phone. You want to have like nice shoes, because there's a lot of stuff going on when you're in that age. That do you guys remember how it used to be then? It's like how you dress up, how you
sure,
how your friends.
You got to keep up with your friends.
It's just interesting how much of this comes from. They don't. So have you realized that in high school they're teaching you chemistry?
Right.
You're learning chemistry. You're learning biology. Important stuff
shit that you don't need.
You might. I mean, it's good to know.
Well, talking about that, I was reading
nice if
this
they
book.
talk about the real life.
Sorry, I cut you
real
off.
world. And
that's okay, Elias. We just,
Sorry, man.
No, it's Elias.
It's just that I was reading something. I was excited about what you just said.
I'm joking, dude. So, all I was going to say is, there is not a personal finance class.
No.
There's not a how to keep your credit score class. There isn't any of those things. And it's interesting how that they don't. That's probably the number one thing you need to know when you graduate, when you're 18, when you get that first job, and they give you a credit card.
Say, what do you do now?
And I go as far as to say that there's fucking a conspiracy, man. That they know they need to keep you ignorant, and it's up to your family and your core people to protect you. To where, like you were saying in the other podcast about, like, oh, you're too stupid. Why did you let them trick you? Well, bro, if you don't know, you don't know.
Well, exactly. The problem to know. It's up to you. It's not up to the government to teach you something. It's like,
if you're a kid and you don't know, you don't. I mean, how are you gonna learn other than by
listen to your parents, kids?
Right, but if your parents,
but you're right. They teach you about.
If your parents don't say anything,
it's mandatory to take sex ed, right? They teach you how to put a rubber on.
Right.
But they don't teach you to save or.
You know why?
Pay your bills.
Because that's gonna make them save money.
Well, this is
I'm serious.
If
you have a kid when you're 16, then you know who's going to be maintaining their kid? The government. Well, so that's why they didn't teach you that.
There you go. Going back to the conspiracy theory.
I don't know if it's a conspiracy, but it's definitely kind of suspect to me that I'm learning. I mean, there's some high level shit that you learn in high school. And
high school isn't meant to teach you, to prepare you for the real world. High school is meant to prepare you for college. College prepares you for the real world.
Okay, so you
Does
it?
All they want you to learn in high school is how to study, how to focus, how to take notes, how to pass tests, how to be responsible. College is a lot more freedom.
Yeah, but
They already expect you to be responsible. Then now they're teaching you about the real. That's why you get into a certain major. They teach you about the real world and what to expect when you get out of college.
Yeah,
so
but
maybe they're just not meant to teach you that.
No,
Now,
because
is it
you-
okay?
It's
I don't
not
think
funny.
so, but maybe that's why.
No, to counter that, you can be a doctor and not take one personal finance class. You can be an architect and still be a complete moron when it comes to credit and finances and keeping, and saving money. So even if you go to college, you can still not know that information. The information that's the information that everybody's supposed to have. That's supposed to be part of your formative years when you're in high school. I don't know if why it's not there, but just listening to you guys and those core values that you had when you were kids. I'm not saying, oh, poor me, my parents didn't teach me, no, but I didn't. That was not a focus. That was not something that was like part of the teachings that my. I mean, it might have been there. I mean, like, if I would have asked my dad, he probably would have said, yeah, you need to save your money. But, like, what you learn you're learning from what's happening around you and what you see that they're spending money in and stuff like that. And
I got to
didn't
share
get that.
something. And but I'm pretty sure they didn't push you on the money, but they did push you in school, though.
Yeah.
And you did finish you have a career and you finish your college,
Degree.
right?
Right.
Got your
You do
bachelor's.
have your degree. I don't
Right.
have my degree. They teach me something else. They should have probably teach me in school. So it's
Yeah.
instead of pushing me in one way, they did push you in another way.
Right.
And I think it was very beneficial for you because right now you can go any part of the world and you have your degree, and that will make you money anyway.
And I'm not saying that they did anything wrong or right. I'm just saying that that's where it comes from.
Yeah.
Like, that is just that, like you said, that for them, that was, for my parents, that was the push. You need to make sure that you get your university,
And it was-
at least college, right?
Yeah.
And it goes back to culture, right?
Right.
So what is that Colombian culture versus a Mexican culture or a Lebanese culture or Indian culture?
And that's why Indian people are so goddamn cheap.
And that's why.
So they're
No,
so rich
you know,
too.
so
Part
I
of the
was-
culture. That's why they're so rich.
You're talking
That's why
about
you work for an
you guys
Indian
were
guy.
talking about high school. Later on in the years they got to take away high school, and right after middle school you got to go straight to college. So middle school is going to be way stronger for more people to be professionals instead of they going to high school and they going through all this, because then you get older and it gets harder to go to college and actually finish college. So they're going to make middle school way stronger. So as soon you finish that, you go straight to college.
If they finish middle school, if they don't start dropping off.
Well,
in
So
middle
it's-
school.
wait, what? So you're
Right.
saying
Well-
that you get you're saying you gotta go to middle school and you get like the foundational stuff?
Yeah,
right?
this is one of the things that they're probably going to change later on, because there's many unprofessional people that are not getting their degree, they're not getting their thing, or to get to college is very hard.
Or inexpensive.
Or
Expensive, right.
like very expensive. So
in America.
so
not
you
in
got to
other
be able
countries.
to have professionals at a very early age, and that's going to bring them.
That makes
you know.
sense, man. Because we try to specialize on everything.
What does
before you get to
Well, I was going to ask you, what does money mean to you, Martin? The
It-
idea
it
of
means-
money.
the idea of having money. We're keeping with the structure of the podcast that our new host has brought.
Do we ever have a structure? I'm just
Well-
saying.
I think money.
The only structure is the topic. That's all. The topic of money.
No, to me, money is it represents freedom in a way. Being able to. I relate it to good things. Stop it! Stop it right now! Whatever this is not. This is not what we've been doing. Stop
No,
it.
no.
I for those who are listening, Hassan's over here like, and you're gonna talk next, and the next, and then you're gonna say this. No, we're just talking.
When we started talking about this topic, I really wanted to know what everybody's perspective
Yeah.
was on money, because going back to community, culture, and the bad stigma that money might have, but yet everybody wants money. They can talk shit about money and say, oh, money, if you have money, you're this, that, and the other. But then at the end of the day, they go to work the next day to make money.
Right.
So
But you need it. It represents being able to
Freedom. That's
To
what
have
I
your
said,
freedom,
Freedom
food,
to provide for your
to
family.
provide for your family. Yeah. I don't know, status symbol, looking cool.
in a way, it's like an adult, and it's kind of like some people kind of say it's almost like a report card, right? On a certain level of success. But what does that success mean to you, right?
The report card will be your credit.
No, your report card will be your life and your happiness in your life, because maybe you want to have 50 businesses, and that's going to make you successful. Maybe somebody else's success is having one good source of revenue, whether that's their work or their business, and be able to spend time at home and make dinner for the family every night. So for them, they're rich and they're successful, right?
Yeah. No, it's true.
You know what I think of when I think of money? Security. That's the number one thing that makes me feel like. Now, granted, yeah, it'd be nice to have a big house and a nice car and be able to go on vacations, but the big picture is security.
Why?
For example, let's just say right now snowstorm hit Raleigh, and you couldn't go to work for 3 weeks. Could you afford it? Could you afford to not go to work for 3 weeks? You have enough money in the bank. God forbid somebody dies. Can you afford a funeral? Can you afford to get sick and miss work? Can you afford if one day you're so miserable? Can you afford to, if you get fired from your job, how long can you go before you're going to lose your home?
So why do you think that you have that idea and that concept of security? Because the reason I'm asking, because a lot of people don't. A lot of people have money means materialistic things or whatever's important to them at that time, and they're gonna eat right now, and they're gonna do what they need or what they want right now. Mm-hmm. But you're not saying it's gonna be money. It allows me to get what I want, not necessarily what I need. So there's something beyond that makes you think that. There's something that that's why I'm asking you. Why do you think that is? Why do you think you have that idea that is security?
I mean, for me, I guess it would have to go back to exactly what the guys were saying earlier about your parents and the way you were raised. My parents owned their own businesses almost my entire life, and I always watched them work so hard not to have a big house. And now we didn't have a huge house. We didn't drive brand new cars. But guess what? We were able to buy whatever we wanted whenever we wanted. If something were to happen, I remember Hurricane Fran in 1996. My dad had the steakhouse. The whole place was flooded. They had to close for 3 months. Now, do you have enough money in the bank to hold you up while you rebuild your business? Or, that's what I mean by security.
They say that a large percentage of Americans cannot afford an unexpected bill over $500.
There you go.
There's a big percentage, probably.
Security.
Yeah, I saw it. I just heard it today, but I can't remember what it was.
Okay, the thing when you think about money and security, this happened in Argentina back in 2001. The dollar used to be $1, 1 peso. So sometimes you feel, what's security? Oh, I have $10,000 on my bank account. I can live for the next 3 months and I'll be good. But what happens if the dollars goes down and the euro goes up, and then the dollar doesn't worth as much as it's worth now? And sometimes it can happen in matter of days. And you can say, oh, I'm living in the US, that's not going to happen. But a system can always fail. So sometimes they teach you, if you have a bunch of money, if you have this, then you have security. But do you really have security? Because we're living in a system that money or the dollar might not be as safe as having things. So I change, sometimes I try not to fall into the system, trying to come out of the system. How? I try not to get myself in debt, because I know something that's the kind of the US how kind of works. So I'm I moved, so we're talking about money, and we're talking about moving out of our parents' house, and we're talking about those things. I was I had it I was living with my parents. The idea of moving out of my parents' house was to get married and move out of my parents' house. That is, like we said before, that is how do you say it?
A cultural thing.
Culture thing.
Yeah, so that's one interesting thing is that you were living with your parents too not long ago, and you as well, Hassan. And that in an American perspective, it's considered
it's very bad.
It's not good. It's almost like you're a loser. Something went wrong.
Right. Yeah.
But in the cultural perspective, in other countries, that is extremely common. In Colombia, people live with their parents until it's time.
So
it is financially.
So taking
smart,
to my point is I was living with my parents till I was 29. Did I took advantage of that? And I was I think I did. I have my house, it's fully paid, all my cars. I don't own any money on any of my cars. So you can be like, okay, I'm going to stay with my parents. I'm going to take advantage of this. So it's a culture thing, but sometimes you got to think and outside the box of what the system is trying to bring you. Because then if you decide, oh, I'm not going to have a house, it's going to be a 30-year mortgage. I'm 25 now. When I'm 60, but then it was like, when you think, I was like, okay, so if I have money, I feel comfort, but then I don't have a place to live. If I lose my job, then so what is safe to you right now? You know, having a right now. So when I think about money, it's about, I don't think much about the dollar value, because when my parents were in Argentina, let's say they have $100,000, but you have it in the bank in Argentina, that would convert to pesos, and if the dollar went up, then you don't have $100,000. You only have $1,000. If you want to convert those pesos into dollars.
Well, didn't the banks go to shit and you
lost? The banks went to shit.
So everything, if you had, like, let's say you had $10,000 in the bank, it was gone.
Exactly. Well, it was right now.
What the fuck?
Well, man? Venezuela is like 1,000,000%
So you had
inflation, like on the country. So
you had to have it cash, right? If you had it cash, you were good.
No. So the problem is that you think you're safe just because you have a piece of paper. Mm-hmm. Is that piece of paper that valuable to you? No, that's what probably they taught you. But the real money, huh?
It's valuable when all things being equal. When everything's going the right way, then yes, it's valuable. But if like you said, if the I don't know what you call that, when the banking crisis and everything, the value of the dollar goes down, the system fails. You literally have a piece of paper that doesn't. If there's no value to that dollar. The same amount of money they used to
not as much as it used to be.
The same amount of money they used to make $1 bill, it costs to make an $100 bill. It's the same value. So if you look at it as a piece of paper, is that piece of paper that valuable? Or it's better to have, okay, you know what? I'm going to have $100,000. I'm going to buy myself, I don't know, 80 ounces of gold. So you just save it. You just save gold instead of saving dollars. So the way I see money, it will be based on something that I have. Okay, I have $100,000. Instead of having dollars that the market might go down or might go up, I'm going to buy myself something. What I'm going to buy? I'm going to buy myself a classic car. I'm going to go buy myself a house. I'm going to buy myself a trailer that I can use for work. So that's kind of the way like that I see money. So it's not, I have $100,000. Okay, what are you going to do with those $100,000? Because in 50 years from now, those $50,000 is not going to be worth what those $50,000 worth now. So you're thinking about it. Okay, I'm safe now. I have $50,000 on my bank account. When you turn 60, 30 years from now, that's $50,000 is not going to be.
The idea is when you're 60 to have way more than $50,000.
Well, that's some idea for some people. Some people like they want to retire, and they're thinking they're going to live on a limited budget, limited income when they retire. That's one way of thinking, right? You work, you work your 40 years, and then you're going to retire. But then there's other people who think, all right, I'm going to retire, but now I have another revenue stream coming in. I have a side business or have something small I'm invested in, and that's what I'm also going to get money. So I'm not only limited to this fixed income. And I think that's what a lot of Americans think, that we're going to work for our younger years, and when we turn 62, 65, then that's when or 66 now, I think, that's when we'll retire. But at that point, if you didn't do these things when you were in your 20s and 30s and 40s, you're not going to start doing it when you're 65. Yeah, exactly. Right?
So take advantage that you're young and strong and you can work, actually.
And take your mini retirements. Hey.
Thing. Okay, so I was going to say something just come out of my mind.
Here's what I don't understand. Like, so this is where I wish we had like an expert or something that could explain everything to us, the internet or something.
Other thing I was listening to about experts. Sorry, man. I was just reading about this, man. Like later on. No, sorry, man. So you're talking about experts, man. So you just said one word and something came to my mind, and I don't know, man. So instead of having one president, we just gotta have experts in different areas for every part of the.
What you mean? Trump is an expert.
Huh? Well, Trump will be a good for one area, not for families. They said
that's the idea that they have right now. Everybody, that's the idea right now, right? Everybody has their professionals who specify in a certain area, and he's the spokesperson for that group, for the government.
Who makes the final decision?
I mean, I guess it depends what decision they're making and how they vote on it.
Well, they have the democracies that like, you know, they have Congress and there's a few different people, but yeah, you're right. Like, but the president does have a lot of influence because they bring their experts and they're supposed to have people that assess them, I guess. I don't know how that works exactly.
Yeah. But when he's turning those experts,
I'm sorry, I'm turning the money subject to something to experts.
Dude, that's the thing. We should just be able to free flow.
Yeah, let it flow, man.
The topic
let it
flow. Take us somewhere else, Hassan.
Sure,
it takes us to the world. It doesn't.
It gets emotional, man.
Okay, when you talk about experts, then when we talk about economy,
you know, this is what I say because it's so much work because we had other ideas and it's so much work to just make sure that we get back to the money topic. I just say if it flows, it flows. Going to put it out there in the air for our listeners to see the process.
I'm going to delete that soon.
No way.
So you know what to expect from us.
No, what I was going to say, yeah. What I was going to say is, all right. So there was a time where money was a thing, right? It was like this guy had all these bananas and stuff, and I was trading it for this, right?
It was trade, not money.
Yeah.
It was trade.
So it was trade, right?
So the value of that 2 dozen bananas for that one chicken.
And at some point, it became. It was unpractical, so they came. That's what I imagine. I don't know if this is true, but it was unpractical. It was like, okay, now I got to bring all my chickens every time. Instead, I give you this, and you know that represents 10 chickens, and you know I can see how the idea of money became right. And then it got to the point that it was backed up by the banks, which essentially, if you think of a bank is like, hey, instead of having all this written notes that you can 10 chickens, bring it to us. We'll manage it for you. We'll keep it together. But then there's a larger bank, and everything was backed up by gold, right? So there's a huge gap there. I don't understand what happened, but there was backed up by gold, right? And we all heard this idea that at one point the money stopped being backed up by gold, right. And that's where you lose.
It is now,
or whatever.
It is now
in the U.S.
It is.
It's not,
and that's right.
Like let's say if all the people bring their dollars they've been saving on their safe. You think all the people that have been saving their dollars to their safe, they go to the National Bank and they say, look, I have $2 million. I want you to, everybody goes at the same time. And they're like, I want my gold back. What do you think the bank is going to do?
They don't have enough.
They don't have enough gold
that's where you lose me. Because that's where, like, if I'm trying to rationalize what money is, and I know there's more to it, and there's experts, and they'll explain it to you, and then there's cryptocurrencies, and trading and all that shit, but that's where like you lose me as far as I don't know what it means.
I have a little bit of knowledge on the dollar. The dollar is stopping backing up by gold and it's backing up by black gold, like the gasoline, oil. Yes, it's being backing up by oil. So you know everything that happened in the Middle East, the U.S. going there and things like that, or the towers and
Twin Towers.
The Twin Towers they brought down. Probably was the own government bringing them down. Taking them down. Why? Because they said I think Saudi Arabia was selling oil to Russia and to China in their currency money. Like China has their own money, Russia has their own money, and they were like, hey, look, I can buy you the gold, but I'm going to, instead of buying gold with dollars, I'm going to buy oil with my money. Mm-hmm. So the U.S. is like, what do you mean? Like, my money's worth a lot of money because the only money you can buy oil with is the dollar. So if Russia wants to buy gold, if Russia wants to buy oil, they need to get dollars. If China wants to buy oil, they need to get dollars. So that's why the dollar was so much. It was worth so much. Mm-hmm. So when Saudi Arabia on these countries were selling the oil in their other people's money, so the dollar starts going down, and that's what probably happened in 2011. The economy went kind of bad because all the thing was going to happen. U.S. went there and kind of took the country over, and we think it's like, oh, we're doing the right thing. Is the U.S. doing the right thing, or they're just going to kick some ass just because they had an agreement back in 1970 something about the oil, and now they're not respecting that agreement? We're like, oh, that agreement was in 1970 something. Right now it's our oil. We can sell it to whoever we want, mm-hmm. and give it to anyone we want. So we think about dollars. So right now, going back to we're talking about money. So China, the yuan, The yuan.
See what you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, you make me nervous now, man.
You ruin our podcast.
So China right now is saying like whoever got the yuan, is it the yuan? China money? The yen? Is it yen? Okay, yen. If you buy Chinese money, it's gonna be. They say China is backing up their money with real gold. So that brought the yen higher than the what? What are you talking about? What is that, man?
Bacon.
So China is saying like, well, whoever's buying the yen is going to be worth as gold, the same thing. So they're backing up, and then you can see the U.S. owning so much money to these people. So that's what I'm thinking. Is like, is it worth it to be saving dollars right now? This is what's going on in my head.
Sure.
If it happened to Argentina, even though if it's not a, it's not a potencia mundial, ¿cómo se dice potencia? You know what I'm talking about? No es una potencia como England is una potencia.
Yeah, like a influential enough. I don't know the exact word, but that's what it means. Like, it's an influential country, that like one of the main countries. Yeah.
So it's So if it happened to one of those, it can happen to any country. So you might be, I'm safe. I don't know if you're safe with having a couple of dollars in your bank account. It's gonna give you the safe that you're looking for.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
What do you think is safe to do with your cash right now?
The safety thing,
more money.
Invest.
Okay,
invest it to get more money, but then you can be like
back to square one where you have more money, right? But if the money, if everything drops,
gold, buying silver, buying platinum.
But you can't let these what if scenarios stop you from investing and doing
course
things.
No, nobody's saying stop investing. People are actually saying
I'm not trying to scare. What if the dollar drops? What if the value drops?
No.
I mean,
my question is
like that. You're never going to do anything.
No, my question is, where do you think is safe? Whether you say investing, like investing in business. I know you didn't mention real estate.
I think real estate will be one of the best things to do.
I think real estate would be the one of the best. But I also think if things hit, if things were to hit the fan here, I think investing in real estate somewhere else would also make a big difference too, and just kind of diversify if you can. That's not very possible, and that's thinking, that's not the common thought. But think about it: if things just change completely here in the States, and real estate is no longer valued at what it was before.
But the thing is, like on real estate, you can always people always have to live somewhere. You can always rent it out. You can always rent your property out.
I guess I'm saying the value might go down significantly, like it has in 08. 08 to
yeah, many people buying their
California,
houses.
Florida.
Yeah, but what I think of when I think of real estate, don't think short-term value, right? Think of this. Think of 15 years ago how much undeveloped land there was. Now there's, shit's being developed everywhere. You get on 85 going to Virginia, there's miles and miles of trees and undeveloped land. So what's going to happen in 100 years or 150 years? What if we get to the point to where almost all the land's already been developed? That's one thing that we can never get more of is real estate, is land. So the ones who own land now, as it becomes more and more scarce, it's going to be more valuable.
Supply and demand.
So in your case, you bought a house, at a fairly young age, and you managed to hold on to it. And then, when we made some good money back in the late 2000s, you bought another townhouse close to the place we used to work at. And so you've held on to them for so long, and thankfully you've been able to. You haven't, struggled to find someone to rent or had to pay the mortgage and you couldn't afford to. And so if you think of where will you be in 50 years, or, right now you're in your mid-30s, let's say you want to, retire in 15 years at your, by the time you're 50 or 55, where will you be? That money that you invested, that money that you spent back then gave you security then.
Right. And you're right. And I guess, yes, you can always rent it and you can always live in it. The only thing that we don't know is what the value of that money is going to be. The value of that property is kind of what I was going back to. The value of that property, you don't know what that value is going to be.
But the trend shows that although it'll go up and down, if you look at a bigger scale over 50 years,
it's always going up in the long term, right?
Unless there's some sort of like apocalyptic shit that happens in the United States,
and that's what I was going to.
And it's not going to matter how much money you have or what you own.
This is what I see when I go to, like, I don't know if you guys been to Rocky Mount. Oh, you guys been to like those cities? It's like, what the hell happened here? It's like nobody's living here. It's like a bunch of houses there, empty houses. Ghost town,
in
man.
15, 20 years, it's not going to be like that. It's going to be the next Raleigh.
Well, it's like you go to New York. There's where they had I think Kodak. Was it upstate New York and in Rochester?
When Martina had his wedding.
And was it Rochester? No, you didn't get married.
No, it was actually in
but like you said about running out of land. Oh my God, it's gonna be so hard.
There's nobody there.
Well, what I was saying, you go to Rochester, and I think this is, I'm pretty sure that's what it was, and I think Canon was there, Kodak, and the point is, it was a camera film company, and they had warehouses and warehouses because that whole community was based off of that business. That business could not, it didn't evolve, didn't keep up. I guess with technology, next thing you know, that is ghost town. You got empty thousands and thousands of square feet of rentable warehouse space, vacant, empty. What does that do to the surrounding neighborhoods, right? So I guess an extreme, okay. If a apocalyptic shit happens, it's gonna be, you're gonna be worried a lot more than what the value of that property is, but. That's what I was saying. What else can you do? What else I was asking Elias, what do you think is safe to do with your money? If you have cash right now, if listeners have cash and they want to do something, yes, you can do it and invest in a business and get more money. But that goes back to the same thing. That if that money is not valued much down the road, it doesn't really matter. Real estate is one for sure. I think everybody agrees with.
Well, first, what do you got to do? What you got to do if you have money? If you want to have more money, then you have to take the risk. Whatever you think is good, inform yourself and invest.
Risk. That's all you can do.
Risk.
Sure. For all of this, whether you're going to invest it and you want it to have longevity and keep your, whatever you're doing is still a risk because anything could happen. But there are some safer options like real estate.
No reward without a risk, baby.
Or buying diamonds or fucking art. I don't know. There are certain things that are more likely to keep their value, but it's still a risk because we never know.
Always buying things, man. I think always buying things and have things that they worth and they got a worth later on. Like when you buy antiques, I think antiques are a really good thing to buy. And
I know Martin Hassan mentioned cryptocurrency. I know you were dabbing into that a little bit. I don't know if
I still own coins.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Have you seen the value go up or down or stay or?
So it's similar.
Can you cash it out? Sorry, can you cash it out right now if you wanted to?
Absolutely, but obviously,
have you cashed anything else?
I'd lose because the value has gone down a little bit. But cryptocurrency is very similar to the stock market. It goes up and down. I mean, you have your bear markets and your bull markets. What you saw a couple years ago when Bitcoin went through the roof and it got up to I think like 22,000. That was because of all the hype that was around it at the time. It was everywhere. It was in social media. People were buying coins based on FOMO. They were fear of missing out.
It was a good time. It's going to go higher.
Right? So what happened once that little phase went away of this craziness, and then it corrected like the stock market does back to where it should be? It went back down.
Yeah, I haven't heard much about it.
People that bought then. Obviously are losing now, but just like in stocks,
depending when they bought,
you only lose when you sell. However, my theory with crypto is Bitcoin started at the same thing. Bitcoin started at pennies or not even pennies, and so over time it got up to the thousands, and then it spiked up. But if you think about it, cryptocurrency got up to 21,000, but it's at 9,900 right now.
Man,
so really, and it's been at 7, 8, 9, 10. So now it's corrected to where it is.
What is it backed by?
What is it backed by?
Yeah, like it's not backed by gold.
See, that's where you lose me, bro. I'm telling you, it gets to the point that nobody.
They don't even
nobody
know.
knows what
they haven't
even.
It's
an illusion.
It's a flizzy. It's a
Listen,
floozy.
let me tell you what I did. Let me tell you what I did with cryptocurrency. I put a number in my head that I didn't care to lose. Just like when you go to the casino, when you go to Vegas or something,
a magical number.
You dedicate. Okay, I got $3,000 that if I lost it all today,
it was okay.
I'll be okay with that. I can sleep with that.
Right.
Whatever that number was is how much I spent on cryptocurrency at the time.
But how much of that hope was it?
I'm just waiting.
How much of that hope was like a casino where it's a quick? I want to get quick rich.
No, I knew that I was investing in the long run.
Rich.
Well, many people got rich out of what is that money you
Bitcoin.
mentioned? Bitcoin. Many people got rich out of it
because
they
bought
were buying it for
when was
1
like
cent,
$1,
$2
$2,
cents.
and then it spiked up to 21,000. And the people that had 500 coins,
Yeah, it went up so crazy.
a friend
high.
of mine owns a business, and one of his employees, and it's just his job was just like a cashier or something, making $9-10 an hour. It's just like really strange, gothic, Back then, what people were using Bitcoin for was to buy stuff on the black market, such as drugs and guns, and it was a form of exchange between people that were selling illegal things.
It's
or selling
untraceable.
something they shouldn't be, right?
Right.
So this kid bought like 18 Bitcoins, 20 Bitcoins
On the
in
black
hopes
market?
of like buying drugs with on the black market. So he kept it, right?
Fucking rich as fuck.
There was a website where you can get on and pick out the drugs that you want. You pay that person in Bitcoin. So he held on to those 16, 17 coins, and then 2 years ago it jumped up to 20,000.
You know the
Here's this
crazy
kid
stories, man.
sitting on like 17 coins.
Yeah, that's funny as hell.
You know what I mean? At $20,000 a coin.
You forgot about it.
This going to my mind right now is like, look, right now we're in 2019. Okay, 2000, year 2000, we didn't hear nothing about currency, nothing about that. Like, you see how, like, you always have to keep yourself informed of what's going on in the market, what's the new thing out there. Many people, they were informed, they were able to buy Bitcoin because they were like, this is the future, and it is the future. Eventually it's going to go back in there.
That's what I think is
It's going to go back in there, and
future.
whoever is investing money, man, the dollar, the money, the paper that you will see is going to eventually disappear.
It already
And
has. Who carries cash anymore?
I
I can buy everything with my iWatch right now.
No,
I
but
just hit my debit card on my iWatch.
Apple Pay.
Who carries
Oh,
cash
you transfer
anymore?
money by Seal, you transfer money
can't
by
even tell
Cash
you the
App, you
last time
transfer
I
money
used
by all
cash.
these different apps.
yeah, but what you're
So-
saying, dude, is like you see the value, like being informed and seeing the value early and jumping on that chip. But how many things you think you see the value on? Like, oh shit, Betamax is coming out. That's gonna be the
Exactly.
shit.
Right.
Take
Or
risk.
Like, oh,
Take
the
risks
virtual
and all that
reality.
shit.
Take risk. Look, if you don't take, like, if you get yourself informed, like, it's not about those, like, schemes. We were just talking about schemes the other day, and
I'm just saying it's just too much of a generic thing to say. If you get yourself informed on something early, then you can invest in it. And,
that's what
and
you always
wait.
got to keep
Yeah.
informed. Like, you always have to keep yourself informed. Like, we were talking about the truck drivers. In 10 years, there are not going to be any more truck drivers.
Right.
If the truck driver was informed today, in 10 years, he should be ready for something else. Like, the same thing for us. You know, like, oh, the truck driver got to learn how to code if he wants to make money. No, he got to, like, learn a different skill because that's going to be out of the system. Whoever's making cash money right now, whoever's doing cash transactions, okay, you gotta know that this cash transaction
It's not gonna last
and
forever.
it's not gonna last. So you gotta keep yourself informed for the next step, for the next move. What's the system is gonna bring? And I see currency, like this type of like currencies, is gonna be taking over.
That's what I
the
think.
dollar over. So you have money
Hopefully
right
by
now.
then all the currency that I own would.
We do something.
Well,
Maybe it
isn't
doesn't do nothing now,
my
but
security.
20 years from now, it does something.
Yeah.
Isn't there
You
like
know?
a lot of them now?
Yeah, there's so many
they're
different
called
types.
altcoins, and I own several different types of coins. Not
One
just Bitcoin.
gotta be good. One of
You
them
know?
gotta be good.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I do
Diversify.
enough research about the companies that are
Bring this money out
backing
there.
these coins
Okay.
to know what they're all about and what they're investing in. You know, like one of the coins that I invest in, it's used by some banks worldwide to
Except the
transfer-
US.
to transfer money. And so, you know, for me, again, the first time I was approached by it was maybe in like 2014, 2015. And somebody was trying to tell me about a Bitcoin. One of the kids that I
Shit,
worked
get out of
with.
here.
Is this the pyramid
And-
scheme one,
Oh,
dude?
oh,
I
man.
No,
told
they
him-
have one like
I
that.
told him, I said, come on, man, what the
Oh
fuck are you
my
talking about
God.
Bitcoin? He said, dude, it's this coin. And I said, yeah, but let me see what it looks like. He said,
Man.
you can't see it. I said, so you want me to buy into something? Where's the
Yeah.
coin? Where do you keep them? You keep them online?
Let me see that coin.
You keep them like
You didn't understand the concept.
Keep 'em
What
on the
are
screen.
they?
It's like this.
So you
couldn't-
actually asked
I
him for
could
that?
not figure out.
Well, so that's
Nothing he said to me could.
where it comes.
Comprehend.
Okay, Hassan. So what you're trying to say is that you wanted to see something. You want to see the Bitcoin. Like, where is it at? Back in 2000,
Right.
people didn't know anything about the emails, and they were like, "What's going on with the emails?" Like, I want to see something. Okay, I'm going to invest. I'm going to buy stocks, but actually, I want to see where's my money is going. So the same thing is going with the Bitcoin or these currencies. Like, we actually don't understand them, but then there's where you have to take the risk. Like, you have to get yourself informed, take the risk if you think it's going to be valuable, and you have to learn how to look into the future, kind of. Like, what's going to be the next thing out there?
I see what you're saying, but I also feel like that's such a generic thing to say. Is like, go out there and be somebody, and, live your life to the fullest type of. I mean, you can have a vision and you can be ahead of the game, but it's really hard to know what's valuable in the future, because that's why it's new, because it's innovative. Nobody's seen it before.
Exactly.
Okay, but back then, even though nobody have seen it, some people did took the risk and they did buy stocks. So.
But how many people invested in things because they thought it was a next big thing, and I'm informed, and this is about to take off, man? I mean, that's what network marketing does. Man, you better get in here right now. This thing's about to blast off.
But let me tell you something, man. Let me tell you something. You're going to be 70 years old. You're going to be in bed, and you're going to be like, remember the opportunity that came to my table?
With Apple.
I freaking took even though I could have lost a lot of money, I took my risk.
Well, what about that guy that invested?
I tried.
What about that guy that felt, and it's an informed decision, but that guy that really thought he had it, like Betamax is the shit. I'm going to put all my savings into it and lost it all.
Well, so he should feel very proud, because he's a man that takes risks and he's not a coward. So he should feel proud.
That's true.
He should feel proud of what he did, because he put his face on something and he just went for it.
What about his family?
Right now you're saying, okay, shit went wrong. Of course shit can go wrong. But are you willing to take the risk, or are you just willing I'm just going to stay at my job right now?
No, I mean, I think
take the risk, but don't go, just like Hassan said earlier, just like you said earlier. You might go to the casino with $3,000, and that's what you want to spend. I'm going to invest $3,000 on this one brand or this one process, right? But your whole life savings, that's a whole other thing, right?
It's an informed decision, and just invest in.
But you gotta be responsible when you're doing, because I don't know if he has a family. Like, I feel like I live by myself. I don't have much to lose, But if there's a father, they have kids. Okay, now you got to think a little bit, you got to get more deep into it, because it's not just life. Many people depend on you. Yeah. So whatever you invest in is like, the guy that lost everything. Well, he should have been smarter the way he was dealing with his money.
Well, and it's a balance of it.
To get educated is not something that the government should give you. You should educate yourself, because the government will educate you, but on their way.
On what they want you to
on they want you to know.
I agree, but I also think that based on the way Americans are so much into debt and have no idea how money works and what they should be doing with their money, and just the basics.
What do you mean, Americans? All of them?
Not all Americans. I'm saying a lot of Americans. A lot of Americans are in debt. Like you said, a lot of Americans are not ready for an unexpected accident, or a lot of people think
go with the flow.
A lot of people are going paycheck to paycheck. We all know this.
Yep.
So does anybody think that the government could help in a little bit here? I mean, we're already doing sex education. Is it too hard to do a basics on money? What to expect?
I think they're only going to educate you to what's worth it for them.
The responsibility should fall on yourself, but at the same time, if you come from a family, and like I mentioned before, if you come from a family in which no one has any idea of how to manage money, then what chances do you have?
Exactly, and that's a shame, right? I mean, I've been very fortunate that I think I've understood the basics of money from an early age, but a lot of people haven't experienced that. A lot of people will not experience that. So guess what happens? They get stuck into the rat race, right? They get stuck into paycheck to paycheck. I don't think that's fair. They grew up. Yes, there's a lot more resources nowadays, and you can go in there and want to be better and educate yourself. But if that doesn't call your attention, if that's not an interest for you,
so
and there's a chance you can teach yourself, but it's less likely, I guess. I'm not saying it's impossible.
We're living on a time where there's more millionaires than ever.
I agree.
Yeah. So if you look at this chart, it's like, okay, back in the 90s, there were not as many millionaires as now.
Mm-hmm.
They say there's, so right now all the millionaires that, okay, being a millionaire is not such a big deal. Right now they all want to be billionaires. Billionaires, the new number that you want.
Why? Because the human we all want more.
Or inflation.
Okay,
We all want more, but inflation for sure.
too.
Pero también we all want more, right? You can't settle. You need more.
Okay, so right now, if you understand that now there's more millionaires than ever, so you gotta think about it and be like, and I think about it to myself too. It's like, what that I'm doing wrong? What that I need to come out of this system in order to, because if the church is saying there is a lot of people and more people than ever making this much money, why can I not make this much money?
Well,
because I'm not taking that risk?
There's only a certain amount of resources, right? So can everybody be a millionaire and it still run?
No.
Well, I think that just shows the fact that there's more millionaires now is not necessarily a good thing. It just shows that there's issues with equality and distribution of wealth.
I think it shows that people are getting more informed by themselves, because these people, they're getting millionaires because they come outside the box and they do their own research in order to have to use their money, have to invest on their money.
I never heard of that. There's more millionaires now than before.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. There's, I think, I don't know how.
Why is that? I don't know.
They're just
because there's so many different ways that you can make money now. You have the internet. Oh my God, the internet platform is such a huge platform. Before they used to not have internet.
Right.
Internet can take you anywhere. You can go from sell shoes all the way to sell underwears or to sell cups
from your house.
You can do
from your house.
You can do advertising. Kids doing advertisement on these social media, and so you're like, what that I'm doing that many kids are doing. There are kids that are 18 years old, 20 years old, and they're making a lot of money. They just know have to work and they get themselves informed. They come out of the box of the school system to make a lot of money. And the thing is, like, many of these kids, they haven't even gone to college. So you understand that what's more important?
Oh, yeah.
So to have an education or to have money? So many things that we might call good, later on they're going to be called bad. You say, what is better, to have money or to have an education?
Right.
You need to have an education to be don't you?
Well, yeah. The issue with that is they were selling you on this idea that you go to college, you pay this money, and then you go get a job.
Because that worked at that time.
Yeah,
and
now,
at the time, college was not what it is now. That's college was what? I mean, minimal cost compared to what it is now.
Yeah, and now you leave with more debt than the job that you're going to is going to pay you.
Exactly. So times have changed. That did work back then, but now we have to evolve. That's not really working that way. Now, so Fortune.com says, despite little wage growth and declining job prospects among young Americans, the U.S. is home to vast stores of wealth and a millionaire class that outsizes that of any other country in the world. And it's about to get even bigger. The number of Americans who meet the millionaire threshold is set to increase by an average of 1,700 new millionaires every day for the coming years.
1,700. I'm going to be one of those 1,700. Why? Because you just need a day, man.
A day.
Damn.
You know what? The market is coming it's so many different ways to get to people, There's so many different ways to advertise. There's so many different ways to get in somebody's house. Back then in the 90s, you couldn't get in anyone's house. Right now, while you put in advertise, you're right there in front of their TV, and you can sell your product.
In front of their device. They don't have to be home. They could be at work, and they're scrolling through Facebook.
Exactly.
And a REI commercial pops up.
Exactly. Guys, I don't know. I love talking about this, but man, it's super late. What time is it now?
Yeah,
man, 11:51 for you guys. You guys probably listen this during the day. We had a great time. We just meet with a couple of friends here at Martin's Garage to have some fun and record. So I really hope you guys enjoy this segment of money and got some information, valuable information.
Stay tuned, guys.
We'll see you next time.